Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the basics of film photography. I have here the Nikon FM2. It's a film SLR camera. Now there are plenty of videos online covering this topic, so today I'm going to break it down to 3 basic steps. And that is ISO, focusing, and metering. Now for ISO, you don't have the luxury that you do with digital cameras. In digital cameras, you have auto ISO, so you can shoot in pretty much any environment and your camera will adjust for it. However, that's not the case for film cameras. With film, if you put a 400 speed ISO film in your camera, you are stuck with that for the whole 36 exposures. Now you might be asking, what's the best ISO to shoot? Well, it depends on your environment. If you're out shooting and the day is perfect, blue skies, sun is beaming down, you'll want to stick to lower ISOs, anywhere from ISO 100 to ISO 400. The reasoning behind shooting lower ISO on bright days is because if you shoot high ISO films, some older film cameras might not have fast enough shutter speeds to get you the proper exposure. If you're shooting on an overcast day, shooting ISO 400 to 800 will probably be your best option. And finally, if you're shooting at night or in low light situations, shooting ISO 800 to 3200 should have you covered. Next, we're going to talk about focusing. Now with the Nikon FM2, this has a split prism focusing mechanism. There are also different types of focusing mechanism that you can find in other SLR cameras, but typically you will find a split prism focusing system in SLR cameras. There are also different types of cameras. We have SLR, rangefinders, TLR, but today we're going to cover SLR because in my opinion that's the easiest system to learn on. And I'll tell you why in a second. So with a rangefinder camera, you're not actually seeing through the lens. You are seeing through a viewfinder and you see everything and everything is there, but this can be a little difficult, especially if you're shooting longer focal lengths like a 50mm or a 75mm, because you're not seeing through the lens and you're not seeing what the lens is seeing. So your images will look a lot different than how you saw it. Now with SLR cameras, you see through the lens. So whatever lens you put on, as soon as you look into the viewfinder, what you see is what you'll get in your final image. And that is why I think learning on an SLR camera is the easiest. Now, with split prism focusing, it's actually quite easy. I'm gonna jump to a small window right here. You'll see the viewfinder window, and if you pay close attention, you'll see a circle in the middle of the viewfinder. And pay attention to the most inner circle. You'll see a top and a bottom image misaligned, and that means it's out of focus. To focus, you just turn the focusing knob until the images line up. Now it's out of focus, and you turn the knob until the images line up on the top and bottom of the innermost circle, if that makes sense. Okay, next we're going to cover metering. Now, I'm shooting a Nikon FM2, and this camera has an internal light meter. I'll show you the viewfinder window again. And for the Nikon FM2, you have 3 symbols. You have a plus sign, a circle, and a minus sign. When you are plus, that means you're overexposing your image. Circle, you're at the proper exposure, and minus, you're underexposing your images. With the Nikon FM2, the meter also runs in 1-stop increments, so if you are overexposed by a stop, it'll show you 2 symbols, a circle and a plus sign. And on the opposite end, if you're underexposed by a stop, it'll show you a circle and a minus sign. Now other cameras might have different light meters within them. Some will have plus, circle, minus, some will have arrows pointing. You just have to figure out which one you have. Now with film, you always want to lean on the side of overexposure. Don't worry about overexposing your images because film has a lot of latitude to play with. Typically, if you overexpose by 2-3 stops, you're still fine. Now, if you don't have an in-camera meter, there are plenty of options out there for an external meter. You have companies like Kex or Dumo that make small external light meters that sit on top of the camera's hot shoe, and then at that point you just do whatever the meter tells you to. So for example, if you're at f8 shooting 400 ISO film and the meter's telling you to go, hey, go 1/250th of a second. Set your camera settings to that setting and you're good to go. If you don't want to splurge for an external light meter, there are also plenty of light meter apps within your phone. And that's it. So guys, remember, ISO, if you're shooting on a bright day, shoot lower ISO, 100 to 400. Overcast day, 400 to 800 ISO, and if you're shooting at night, 800 to 3200 ISO. Focusing, pay attention to the innermost circle and just line it up. Keep turning the focusing knob until the top and the bottom images are lined up perfectly. And finally with metering, as long as you are at the right exposure or even overexposed by 1 or 2 stops, you're good to go. And that's it. Now let's go shoot some film. Now for this portion, let's get some help from my friend Roman Fox. And also, we're gonna go to Tokyo. Good morning, we are in Tokyo, and I'm about to meet up with Roman, and using the 3 tips that I gave earlier, he's going to shoot through his first roll of film. Since it's overcast today, I've decided to give him a roll of black and white T-Max 400. So let's go meet up with him and see how he does. All right, so I am here with my friend Roman Fox. So I'm just gonna go over the settings real quick so he can be on his way. All right, so first you are shooting 400 speed ISO because today is a little bit overcast.
That's 400 there.
And yep, we've already set 400 on the ISO dial of the film camera. Next, we're gonna talk about focusing. So if you look through the viewfinder.
For this, I think I definitely have to not wear the sunglasses.
Yeah. So you'll see like the 2 inner circles.
Oh yeah.
The very middle. And basically to get focus, you just wanna line the images up, like the top and bottom images up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. And then
That's very easy.
metering.
Yeah.
So for this, it locks. So if you're here, you can't click the shutter.
Okay.
So right here, if you have pressed the shutter, you should see like 3 lines on the right side, and they're either plus, minus, or circle.
Is there an on button?
No, there's no on button, no. So if you have pressed it and if you see a minus, then you're underexposed.
I see a red plus.
So plus means you're overexposed.
Okay.
And then circle means you're at the right exposure. And
So
then if you see both, like circle and plus, that means you're overexposed by a stop. And then the opposite if you're underexposed by a stop.
Okay, okay. Would you want it to be overexposed or under if you had to choose?
So for film photography, you always want to
250.
lean on the side of
Over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
over. And especially with black and white, like today, you can be over by like 2 or 3.
Wow.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'll be shooting at 250.
Yep.
At f2.8, I'm kind of between normal exposure and overexposure.
Okay, nice.
So I think that's that.
Yep.
I guess this is telling me how many
That's
shots
how
I
many
have.
shots you have. So we have a blank roll in there for you, brand new roll.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white.
And then, so press to take the shot and then to
Wind.
reload it.
Yep.
All the way up.
Yep. Wind it. And then if you're like at a scene with different lighting, just half press the shutter and then you'll get a new meter reading.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And then to lock the camera, you
just push it in.
and that effectively switches it off, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
Right. Easy enough, isn't it?
Cool. Let's go.
Wish me luck. First place that we're going to go to, it's a shot I've had in mind. I've taken the shot on digital before, but I want to repeat it on the film camera. It's in the station down there, and it's kind of going up the escalators, looking up, and I just want to see what that looks like in terms of that level of contrast on a film camera. So there we go. So actually we're on the way to the first spot, but I found this little location, and the bullet train or Shinkansen goes through there, and because of the contrast, you have a strong source of light there, and we're also here in the shade. So the light's kind of flooding in, and what it's doing, it's backlighting the people walking through. And what I would like is to time, which will be interesting, the front of the Shinkansen right kind of in the middle, and then get everyone going through. Now, even though I started at 250, I might reduce the shutter speed to maybe 1/60th, because I want to get a bit of motion in the train. I've just missed it. It's there. But they come very often, so it's not a problem. Yeah, it's way overexposed. Okay. I hope we could go up, and I hope it's open. Sometimes it's not. So we're now in I think it's the Tokyo Exhibition Center, or I can't remember the exact name, but you can go up there. It's beautiful architecture here. And there's a couple of shots I want to take. So the first one, we'll go up there, and then you shoot kind of that way, but you'll see. And then we'll go to the bridges, if they're open. It's a classic example of when you see a particular subject, because you could see the subject, it's so clear to you. And when you compose, it's very clear, but you need to look at it from a perspective of someone's going to be looking at the photo who has never seen that photo and doesn't understand what's going on. And the subject needs to almost slap them in the face straight away. In this particular, the guy's gone, but there was a guy sitting there with a white shirt. He was being framed by those, I guess they're glass boxes, whatever they are. It looked really cool, and you could get a nice kind of abstract-y shot, but he was lost in the scene. I could see him, but then when I zoom out and I look at it from like a perspective of someone who's not seen the shot, he's just lost. So sometimes a good subject doesn't work because they're not super clear in the overall composition. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the reflective bit of this to just add almost like a weird kind of texture gradient. It's also really warm here, it's covered in sweat, but and then try and get someone walking through with this kind of gradient. I got a similar shot here last year from down there, but this is just a different take on the same idea. So I'll wait for someone in a suit. I think there's something going on here, so there's enough people in suits, because it just cleans up the scene. No, move over, move, no. Too far, wrong side. Because there's this bit sticking out, a bit of glass sticking out. Oh, that could have worked. Moved again. Come on. So for this photo, I want to take the Shinkansen going past, but I want the train in focus or without motion blur, and everything else to have motion blur. So for that, I'm shooting a 1/30th. I think that's enough. I might try 1/15th, but I'm not sure. But the issue I've got is obviously it's too bright. So I've taken the ND filter off my video camera, and I'm just going to hold it over like this. I've already taken one photo, which I'm pretty sure is underexposed. I can hear a train coming, 1 second. So you just kind of hold it like this. No, not yet. So it'll probably be a couple of minutes before the next one, but we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna do one more, just to make sure I got it. What is that noise? Need to step back. I think like something like this works. If I go to F16, I am exposed. F11 is okay, should be fine. So I just wait for him to come. I hope he's actually going to move. I'm not just going to stand here. And then when I kind of get where's focus? I mean, focus doesn't really matter because it's F11. One. Oh, there we go. Overall, it's okay. I think my biggest issue was forgetting to reload the film, which is why I've missed a few shots. But in general, I mean, it's a pretty neutral experience. I can't say I'm enjoying it that much more than digital, and I can't say I'm hating it either. Yeah, pretty neutral. I would say I like the instant gratification of seeing the photo that I've just taken, because then I can review it and make any adjustments to the composition, whereas with this, you're just relying on yourself, on trusting yourself. So I don't know if that makes any sense. I could see why people do this for fun, but for me, if I'm traveling somewhere and I only have, one opportunity to photograph something, like this will be the last choice. Whereas if I'm just going around in the same area or where I live, then I could see why this would be fun. It's just a different way of achieving the same goal. Overall, yeah, I'm neutral. Like, I can't say it's incredible, nor is it bad.